Welcome to another episode of the Art Remedy podcast. We are here with an amazing creative, organizing extraordinaire, Jakia.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I'm excited. I love a good yapping session.
Look, the girls got to talk, and I feel that it's the perfect time. It's 2025. It's the perfect time for us to dive into some conversation to get people amped up and back into a flow of creativity and redefining it, because art comes in so many different forms. And I feel like, the school systems and life, when it happens, we just think it is just painting or drawing, when there's different forms of it. There's different mediums to, explore.
I agree.
Yes. So I want everyone to know a little bit about you. Let's go back.
Okay.
Because I want to understand you as a child. What did you...
Getting deep.
Yeah, we gotta go deep. We gotta go deep because today you're organizing. And I remember when I hit you up and you were just like, you kind of didn't see like organizing as an art. But then when I explained it a little bit, you're like, wait, I see it.
So yes, I bring spaces to life.
Yes, and that is an art form. You have an eye for it, and that's really beautiful. So who were you as a child? Like, where did you find your creative flow?
So just reflecting back, I think as a child I was very quiet, but also very imaginative. So I read a lot of books. I remember in elementary school and middle school, I wrote a lot of poetry, had it published. I was in the arts.
Had it published?
Like within, it was within our county. Okay, so it was still published like within the county school system. You had to submit it and it had to be voted on. But yeah, just thinking back, I feel like I've always been a creative person. And then the pressure with society to have to go to school, you graduate, you get a job, you got to pay those loans back, you got to start working. And I feel like that suppressed a lot of my creative energy. Back to your question, yes, as a child, just very quiet, like I said, very imaginative, just always thinking of things, thinking that life was like a movie or a TV sitcom when it really isn't.
Right, I can relate.
But I remember just being really good with my hands, like even in art class drawing. I enjoyed like tech class, right? Shop where we made things, home ec. So anything where I was able to, like outwardly express myself, I thrived in. I did my homework really fast because I was just like, let me just get it out the way, right? And then now as an adult, right, who nurtures her inner child, right? I have a very childlike spirit, and being diagnosed with ADHD 2 years ago, and now all makes sense why I was that way as a child. And now as an adult, it's a beautiful full circle moment because I get to really embrace and show that part of myself, right? Because I think growing up, especially for Black girls, right, there wasn't a standard or a definition, right? It was just like, oh, she's quiet. But no, it was very loud up in here, which is why I say I was very imaginative and very creative. So, yeah.
May I ask why you recently got diagnosed? Like, what made you take the step to say, let me take this test? If always too much, you don't have to answer.
Yeah, no, I always felt different, and people may say, well, what does that mean? It's really kind of just a feeling. I just know that I felt different from other people, right? And then, social media gets a lot of flack, but to be honest, it's where I started to just see different stories about what it looked like to have ADHD or navigate being neurodivergent as a woman, as a Black woman, what it looks like, right? Being highly sensitive, overly stimulated. Like, even though I'm organized, like I'll have piles here and there, right? But there's a part of me that's like, okay, I can't thrive and dysfunction and clutter. So it's just seeing those different videos that kind of piqued my interest, and kind of just outlining, unfortunately, trauma plays a part in it, right?
Like you want to have a little bit, like some control over your environments.
Yeah, control, and then like executive dysfunction, right? It is a challenge for me sometimes to make decisions. Like I can be in bed, I can set my alarm for 8:30 a.m., right? The alarm clock goes off and I can stay in bed until 10 a.m. I'm literally thinking about everything I have to do, and then that tires me out mentally, and then I don't go do the things that I set out to do. So organizing helps me navigate my neurodivergence, because you can just break things down into smaller pieces. So when my space is organized, I'm a better person. The creativity is flowing. My energy isn't stagnant. Like today, I feel amazing.
Okay. Tell us
Like
about it.
my space is clean. I took the time to section off each area that I would clean. I just feel great. Like the energy is flowing. It just feels good. So like I'm able to focus on this. I know I have a task to do after, we conclude with this session. And I think for me, that's just the beauty of organization, right? And I want, my intent or my hope is that everyone can feel that way, right? And that it is achievable when it comes to organization or being organized.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing and diving into who you are
Mm-hmm.
internally, and energetically. When did you find that organizing was like your craft? Like, what do you remember a specific day? Did an incident happen?
So I attribute my organizing skills to the maternal figures in my life. And, Black women don't like when you put your business out there, but I feel like ADHD is also they say hereditary. So I feel like there's touch of it, that I've seen within them. And so my mom growing up would live by a list, right? Like a to-do list, a checklist. I don't know. That's something I remember, just always writing things down and then crossing it off to ensure that it was completed. That makes me feel good. So early on, there were signs of that, right? When I was in college, I had a summer job, and I was told to clean out an entire office that was filled with junk, and organized it, cleaned it up, everything in during the fall semester. I know, probably illegal.
I know. I'm over here like, who made childless child do this?
Yes. But during the fall semester, that office that I had cleaned out and organized was transformed into an office space. Even in college, I worked in a department where I was responsible for tracking scores for students. I came up with the entire tracking system.
Okay.
So it was always there. There were little signs. And it wasn't until I started working at a nonprofit around maybe 2014, and the operations manager was moving out of that role, and they managed the budget. And they were like, you're moving into this role, you now need to manage the budget. And I was like, if you're going to have me manage millions of dollars, I need a system, because I don't need anyone coming back and saying the dollar is off and Jakia is responsible for that. So really be in that moment. I think that is what really made it concrete for me to move into organization, because I had to use those skills to create systems and processes as an operations coordinator. And as a result, people were able to get their expense reimbursements paid on time. There was solid systems to follow. There was no more confusion. We actually came in under budget. I remember the national office like calling our local office asking, how did you all do this? And my executive director bringing me in on board to say, this is how we got it done. And so I was like, I'm going to go into business or create a business for myself. Instagram was really popping back then, I feel like. Remember? And I was just
remember.
remember. Oh, the good old days. And so, yeah, just decided to create a page and kind of went from there. And I saw other people who are entrepreneurs, and I'm like, oh, they made it look so easy. And 10 years later, I'm like, it's definitely not easy, but they made it look easy. Yeah. So that's how I got my start. Long response, but yes.
It was always a part of you, and that's what
Always
I
a part of me.
feel
Yes.
like it's interesting because when we become adults and we look back, it's like I've heard someone say it before, it's like our child self always knew what we loved and like what is gonna make us great. And
Mm-hmm.
society kind of like, ruffles our feathers or gets into our
Mm-hmm.
head and we forget the things that bring us joy. And I love the fact that like first of all, I love organized spaces. I'm over here like, should I get tested for ADHD? Because everything you're saying, I'm like, that is me. But I guess I've just learned to navigate my emotions to be like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what I got to do. Don't overthink. I've like been working with my thought process.
Yeah,
So when
that's
you say
great.
that, yeah, I feel seen.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know this lady from the UK called T?
I'm not familiar with her.
I have to
No.
send you her page. She is
Okay.
a neurodivergent, and I just love her content.
Okay.
I feel like you would like love her content too. She's like a creative, like navigating all the differences inside her and just being very transparent about it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
just a lovely page. So
Yeah, we just have
yeah.
a different way of thinking. I heard someone today, she defined her brain as being glittery. And I was like, that is a beautiful term. And I'm not taking credit for it because I heard it from her. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that is how I feel like my brain is set up. Like very, and
Okay.
sometimes it
Okay.
makes
If you had a
sense to
word,
people.
what would your word be?
Uh, I always say unhinged. I don't know. I don't have a word, but glittery spoke to me. That
Okay.
spoke to
Okay.
my spirit.
Then you
Yeah.
can relate. You connect to it.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be like a film. I feel like in my head, my life is a movie, and I just have theme
Same.
songs for certain things, and it's just like when I hit this point, this thing will pop out, or this
Yes.
people will come outside and join me dancing. I don't know. I just feel like that's my thought process. I love, first of all, I'm trying to think, where did we meet?
We met at
Oh,
one of
sure.
the photography pop-up shops. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And you handed me your business information on a magnet.
That's right. I was
Yep.
like,
And then from there, the rest is all history.
of course, of course. How do you feel when you organize, especially for other people? Like what feelings come into play at the beginning, maybe the middle and the end? Just like tell us about your emotional process.
I'm always taken aback, but I just, I'm full of gratitude, right? And then during the process of organizing, I just kind of feel very empowered. I feel like I'm restoring healing energy within people's spaces. People seem to feel very safe with me when I'm in their space, and I'm there for an extended period of time, months. And people seem to really open up and I open up, so it becomes very personable and we establish these relationships. And so I think at the end, again, there's a feeling of me just like feeling grateful that I get to use something that is a true natural gift of mine, right? Like, yeah, I owned it and sharpened my skills along the way, but at the core, this is all inside of me. This is the essence of Jakia. And so the fact that I get to nurture and share that with people makes me very grateful. It makes me feel fulfilled, right? It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something and I'm serving a purpose. I'm grateful to work a 9 to 5 in addition to building this brand and business. But even working a 9 to 5, I have to work somewhere where I know that I'm making an impact. I can't just do the work to do it, right? And so I've been also very fortunate. I've been in spaces and positions where my organization is really helping that company or that organization move the work forward. So I would say just immense gratitude, right? Feeling honored and empowered is how I feel.
Do you feel like the people that you work with, they start to find the beauty of organizing and they do it themselves, or do they call you back for like a follow-up?
Some have called me back, and I actually need to do a better job at really promoting the maintenance piece, right, of organization, because it can easily revert back to what it was. And I think a lot of times people think it's just like a one-time thing, but it's not. You think about like a fitness goal, right? Or a health goal. If you stop doing it, things can quickly go back to how it was, what made you want to begin. So I think in the moment people are ecstatic. They didn't know that their space could look like that. They feel things that they didn't think that they would be able to feel. They're emotional, right? Because when you think about it, your stuff holds energy. They're feeling weighed down. They're feeling stagnant. And so I just come in and kind of clear all of that out and usher in new energy.
Love that word, usher in new energy.
Yeah.
Well, I love the word usher. It's like, I feel this very like, do you study or have you read up on like feng shui at all, like during your organization practice?
No, I haven't. No, again, everything has just kind of been like innate self-taught and just what I feel guided to do in that moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm a spiritual person, and it just
Same.
feels like, okay, it just feels like you are a vessel and you're just allowing the creativity to flow through you and not overthinking it and just being the person to get the job done. I can only imagine, like, I watch so much HGTV, and I can only imagine like the faces when people like see the open space. They're like, "How did you do this? Thank you so much." And I like hearing you talk about it. It's like it's true because there's so much stuff that you can't see past it. It almost feels impossible.
Yeah. Yes.
And here you are being like the person to take off the weight, and it makes you feel good. So there's like this circle of energy going on. I love that for you, and you're a very calm person. So the fact that
that's something I'm working on, but I appreciate that you sense that.
You have calm energy.
Okay.
You do.
That means I've been doing the work is working because I am committed to regulating my nervous system this year. You don't understand. So I appreciate that you have said that. You don't understand.
Yes. When I first met you, you definitely had just like a grounding to you. We've had our talks, and it's just like we have like this like a similar brain, so we get it on like the busy end, but like energetically, I definitely feel like you're excited, but you have like a grounding to you. So
thank you. I received that. And you know what else I think it is, B? I think I'll be 40 in a week, right? Which blows my mind. Thank you. It blows my mind because I'm very, like I said, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm like 32, right?
Okay, keep it.
29, like, but I just feel also just more grounded and confident in how I show up in this industry, right? So I think it took me some time to just realize, just be you, right? And whoever resonates with that, they'll stick around.
Speaking of that, I feel like we start to own that as we get older in life. It's like in our 20s, that's become this battle because we're like looking for ourselves or social acceptance, and then you just become free again, like this lifting off like you have with your clients and how you feel when you're cleaning your spaces. We're decluttering almost our soul, bodies, our minds. So I feel like it's like an organization of even ourselves.
You know what I call that? It's funny you bring that up. I have a service called the Soulful Audit.
And I saw that post. Okay.
Yes. So it stands for assessing, understanding, deciding, intentionality, and taking action. And so what you just said, I'm taking an audit of just not spaces, but just like also of my life. So for example, I know that sometimes my energy can be a little chaotic, right? You talked about self-talk. I do a lot of self-talk. I had someone tell me even it's called self-mothering, and I love that term, right? And just kind of talking to myself, and I think that's been really helpful too.
Love that. I love that. There was something that you mentioned, and I wanted to tap in a little bit about it, but my brain is going like 15 million because you said so many things. I'm like, oh, I want to.
I know. Let me stay on task. See, that's the ADHD. Let me stay on task.
No, but look, I wanted to flow because the messages that we have to share, like it could resonate with someone, and we don't need a script for that. So what do you do when you get overwhelmed in life? Like what are your, like, what do you do to comfort yourself? To
scream. I scream. I just scream sometimes, or I'll probably scroll on TikTok, and then it's just like, okay, Jakia, you gotta get it together, right? So then I'll kind of decompress. I don't have like, oh, I'll go take a bath or anything like that. I think it just depends on the situation. But a lot of times it's just kind of like just talking to myself, really like having that Issa Rae moment, looking in the mirror and just like, all right, girl, you got this. This is not going to rock you. You've been through worse. You're going to take 15 minutes, for yourself, right? This happened. And that's kind of how I recalibrate myself when I feel overwhelmed. And it also helps that I feel like I have amazing loved ones, people who truly understand me and get me, right? And so they speak a lot of life into me. If I have moments of self-doubt or again, feeling overwhelmed, again, that all helps to just kind of bring me back to myself.
What do you do for playfulness?
That's a really good question. I don't know if there's anything that I really do for like, playfulness, but like if I can refer back again to like the soulful audit and just assessing that, right? That's something that I need to kind of get a better understanding of and then decide what I'm going to do about it and then be intentional and take action. Like I need to incorporate more of that, more playfulness, because I am a playful person, but I can't say that there's something I actually do that is playful.
Got it. Do you color your coloring book that we made together?
I have started. I want to get some better markers for that, but that is definitely something I feel like will be soothing with some music playing in the background, drinking some tea. I really feel like that'll be helpful too. So if you have some good recommendations, let me know. I like the marker vibe. Yeah.
Yes, girl. Look, this is an unsponsored sponsorship to come. This is Prismacolor markers. Okay, I ain't got the fancy setup like the people on TikTok, but these are all.
Okay, you said Prism?
Prismacolor.
Okay.
All Prismacolor markers.
Okay, I'm gonna look them up.
Now they're a little pricey, but let me tell you something. These tips.
Let's see. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want.
Girl. And then the sign always hurts. You get the shiny tip.
Okay.
Yeah. And then wait, hold on, because my friend gifted me like a box of 300. Got the brush. Oh yeah. This is my favorite. So like the way it just glides on the paper.
That's what I want.
If you want that will be my recommendation. They also have pencils that are very creamy and rich. Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah. But I feel like once you treat yourself to the markers and have your downtime, and I feel like taking the first step to do your own coloring book first, you can step back and appreciate the that you went through, you invested in, and understand that all those pictures that you sent me to draw over was your work, like your hard work, like your organization, the things that made you glow as a kid, and now you're doing it. And would you say organization is like your passion?
I would, yeah. Because I think it's more than organization, right? Like organization is at the center, and there's so many other extensions that derive from organization. So there's being sustainable, there's decluttering, and then with decluttering, you're being sustainable, right? So you're practicing different recycling practices, or you're giving back to those who are in need, right? So I love that aspect too. That really warms my spirit, right? So like I tend to donate to a local charity that's 5 minutes from where I live, because I can literally see the people in real time going to get the items. You know what I mean? There's nothing against larger charitable organizations, but I think it's great when you can see the impact you have within your own community.
Okay, I love that. How have you worked with the youth with organization? Because good habits start young.
Listen, I have, when I tell you, it can get discouraging sometimes to just kind of like cold contact, different organizations and nonprofits and let them know the benefit of how this would help the youth, which I have done, right? But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue to do that. So to answer your question, no, but I have definitely tried. And I agree. Organization is a life skill that everyone needs, right? Just like cooking, cleaning, you are your own person at the end of the day. And you will need to know how to survive in this world to take care of your home, yourself, right? And so when someone is not organized, they can miss an assignment that can impact their grade. It just has a ripple effect. So I do agree with you that educating and guiding younger kids or teens on how to, be organized at an early age would be really helpful.
Okay. I fully agree because I feel like now I'm struggling with
Mm.
organizing myself in journals. I'm not saying you have to
Ooh.
answer this now, but it could be content that, push my way after you make it, or if you sit down and it helps you, if it, resonates with you. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because my brain is it's wired, right? It's like
Yeah.
constantly, I'm overstimulated. But I'm really figuring out how to use a sketchbook a good way because I know
Mm.
I don't like small boxes. I don't like
Okay.
I like lines, but it's like, do I have a sketchbook? I mean, a notebook for every single category in my life, or do I use one and divide it up? Because I divided one up and it just got messy. And I was just like, I don't even
Okay.
understand what I'm doing here. I feel like this is a whole like vent moment, but
No, no, no.
but I feel like this is something that would help me out because I did not have the organization skills as a teenager
Right.
to get it together here now. So when I feel now that I'm just like, what did I do in high school? Like, how did I get through all this? It was
Right.
like, I need help with that. And I'm tired of keep buying composition books and notebooks and just
Mm-hmm.
feeling like I'm constantly like ripping it out to start over. I'm just like, it feels discouraging. So
Yeah.
if anyone see this video and take the snippet, and this is the reason why you need to teach the kids young, because I am struggling.
So you can learn organization at any age. It's never too late. But
Good. Yeah.
it's never too late. Like there are people in the field who have said like they didn't become organized until they had children because they had to find a way to really like get some structure within their household. You know what I mean? So here's my personal like recommendation and philosophy on journals. I love a good journal too, right? But I found myself doing the same thing. I would have all these different journals, half, half empty. It's just like what's happening here? So I did downsize and I
Okay.
did create specific categories for each journal. Again, so going back to like me being neurodivergent, the more I can break things down into small bite-sized pieces, the better. So like I have a financial journal, I have a journal for all of like my business, and content ideas. And then I just have a journal. I'm into astrology, right? So I'm trying to kind of learn, that I know I'm an Aquarius sun and a Virgo moon. And what was the other thing I learned? I think Venus, right? I don't know. I have to look. But yeah, just trying to learn more about that. And then I have just my personal journal where I kind of just jot down my feelings and emotions. So
I
I
have too
don't,
many.
huh?
I have too many. That's
I
that's
mean,
step one.
well, and then also don't buy anymore, right? Like, don't buy anymore. Use up what you have, or determine what it is that you really like to like document. And I would recommend just having different journals for different things.
Thank you for saying that because I felt like I was like, am I doing too much? I should all be in one.
No, but see, that's the thing, right? And so if we're talking about just having a real organic conversation, people have to do what works best for you. And if that works for you, then do it, right? Like having multiple journals, but they're very specific, that works for me. And I label them so I know exactly what they are.
The organization, yes.
Exactly.
I need to
It,
be.
it brings ease. I don't have to second guess about anything.
I love that. I have to write that down. Organization
Yeah.
brings ease. I love the way that sounds. I have to write that down. Oh, so good. Thank you for saying that. I'm like,
Yeah.
to overshare for myself, but I literally, it's like I have all these books around me. I'm like,
Mhm.
but like you said, they're half empty or half full, and starting over and trying to reuse the book in a different way. It's
Yeah, no. Don't buy any more though. And I made a post about that like last year. And I know they're so pretty, they're nicely designed. At the end of the day, they kind of all do the same thing, right? Like, or, they have the same concept in mind. What I will say is I find that I like journals that have prompts. I like to be able to think. So just having like a blank journal, that doesn't help me. That's what I learned too about myself. Um, I like to kind of have like something to jumpstart my thought process.
the guide a little
Mm-hmm.
bit.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness, thank you. I feel so
You feel
seen.
validated?
I feel
Yes.
validated. I feel seen. And this is so. I guess idea help us girlies who need just a little
Okay.
bit more organization in life, because I'm just
Mhm.
like, organization life hack, go.
Organization life hack. Um, One thing I like to say is if you're thinking about it, do it, or at least write it down somehow, some way. You said like, how did you manage in high school? But let's be real, I feel like we had less things to worry about back then, less things to manage and navigate. Like we are full-fledged adults now. You know what I'm saying? Like we're in the thick of it. So yes, a lot of things are going to require more of our attention span, and it's going to require us to really stay on top of things. But that would be my hack is to, you know, don't put it off if you can, and if you're not able to do it right then and there, create some type of reminder for yourself to do it so that you don't forget, because we can quickly say, yeah, oh, I need to do this, and then we're on to the next thing.
Love this. I love this. I love the idea of just slowing down,
Mhm.
organization together.
Mhm.
That is the hack of life, right? Like organize.
Yes.
And I something just came into me. I feel like, spirit be talking.
Come
It's
on,
not
spirit.
high school. Guess what I'm saying? Maybe it's not high school that you talk to. Maybe it's the whole young adults, like 19, like college.
Mhm. But I think it should kind of start in high school because those where those habits
I
start
see.
to form, at least maybe freshman, sophomore year. You know what I mean? Because you are transitioning into becoming an adult. And if
So you
you,
have it. Yes, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
So maybe I'm over here trying to brainstorm with you, because I'm just like, this is a need in life, because now they're starting to help kids learn about rent and organizing their money.
Mhm.
But it's like, let's organize our life, our
Yeah.
ethic, our social events, so we don't
Mhm.
book and overwhelm ourselves and start having these high levels of anxiety and just like
Yeah.
nation. So
Yeah. Well, I feel like since we're doing a little plug and stuff, I should show you something
go ahead. Okay, show and
that
tell.
that would be helpful. And I think it'd be helpful for anyone, like anyone who wants to be able to see their things. So these are handmade memo boards. I started making them at least 6 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So this is a memo board where you can put your reminders on here, little notes, and use thumbtacks. So I just used a button as an example. But like if you have post-it notes or you have pictures and you're in college, you know what I'm saying? Then you would just put it on this memo board.
A memo
Yeah.
board. Love. It's like a
Yeah.
beautiful cork board.
Yeah. I
A
just call them corkboard. Well, this is a memo board. They say memo board because like you're putting up like notes or
note.
reminders
Okay.
or tasks or photos.
Okay.
But yeah, made this by hand. This is again being sustainable, like some upcycle fabric that I found. And so yeah, hopefully when this video launches,
Okay.
I'll have a few up on the website, but I just kind of create what comes to mind. So
Yes. You should do a DIY video of how you upcycled it, because some people will want to buy it, and some people, they don't have the funds. Teach them how to upcycle.
that's enough. Let me tell you, I have pitched to so many local organizations to speak to, like I said, young adults, even to make it interactive. So even teaching them how to make these, right? Like a
Right.
mini one. It's always centered around organization,
Mhm.
but I try to make it engaging and interactive. And I think the beauty of, and I don't want to keep relying on being neurodivergent, but I do have to talk about how it shows up for me, is that I don't like to be boxed in. But yeah, organization is just, it's everything. So like there's workshops, there's products, there's merchandise. I just kind of want to do it all.
You are creative.
Yeah,
You
I am.
through this platform, you are creative and in your own creative right. You're taking organization to the next level. And
Yeah,
I love that you're being playful because yes, they say niche down, but there's also this aspect of you have to continue to explore and put it out there to see what pops.
right.
Because if you just stay in the same lane forever and you may not be like understanding who you're talking to, how will you know?
Mm-hmm.
How will you know who you're talking to? And I also feel like what just, like a spirit moment came into
Yeah.
me, like if the idea comes to you, it's coming to you for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing a disservice by not exploring it. And if you're just, it doesn't like, it's not to say like you made that board, right? And you're gonna go invest in like 1,000. It's like, let me just see what
Yeah.
happens, you know? And
Yeah.
put it on your website and see what sells. And if it sells, great. And if it continues to sell, even better.
Yep.
So I love to hear this. See, technically that is you playing. So technically you do have
Okay.
that is your creative outlet
Yeah.
because you are taking the time to make things and explore things and find new ways of communicating organization to other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I said. It goes back to me like making things with my hands, doing
Yeah.
something where I'm using my hands or I'm just being
Mhm.
active and not stagnant. And so
Yes.
when you just talked about, school and college, I was like, let me show you kind of what I've been working on. So,
It's
yeah. Thank
cute.
you.
And I know easier said than done, but you can also, I know some people say like keep a idea logbook. I know I've
Mhm.
been doing that because I've realized what I want to do, I can't do right now. It's just not.
I have one of those too.
You have one of those too. Look at you, you're so organized. I love it. I love it. Um, I wanted to ask one question. When you're organized, do
Mhm.
you prefer things to look the same or do you use color as a way to differentiate?
Okay, so for myself, I do like for things to kind of like be cohesive, right?
Mhm.
So I want, kind of the bins to still align. They don't have to be matchy matchy, but you want that very kind of like finished, polished look. And that's the same thing that I do with my clients, but they have preferences, right? I always tell them, this is your home. Like you have to stay here. I leave. So if there are things that they want to incorporate, I do take that into consideration. And so, of course, a lot of clients like their closet to be color coordinated, which makes sense. So I'll do that. But yeah, that's the most I'll do when it comes to probably color. But the main thing I just want to emphasize is I feel like I like creating a cohesive look. It looks nice aesthetically, right?
Mhm.
But it also, again, if we talk about regulating the nervous system, kind of like calms your nervous system. You can open a cabinet, you can see where things are. And sometimes a little bit too much color, right? And even over labeling can be
Mhm.
overstimulating,
Oh,
right?
yes. Okay, I feel that.
So that's why organization is such, there's such a science behind it too,
Mhm.
right? And it's there's a science, there's a foundation, and then there's also just what the person prefers and trying to combine all of that together to create, I don't want to say the perfect situation, but the most ideal and functional situation. And so I'll use myself for an example. I don't like eyesores, right? I don't like visual clutter, but I can stand having things on my counter, but it's going to be contained. It's going to still look aesthetically pleasing. So that's just an example.
That I love when you said over labeling could also be
Yeah.
just an irritation. I feel that because
Mhm.
I always thought it that I was just like, I'm being too much. Like why like why is this irritating me? But it makes sense. Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And categorize that as being overly organized or like how do you define
Okay, let me define what I mean by overly labeled because I don't want it to be misconstrued.
okay.
So let's say there is a clear bin, right? And okay, I'm not even going to overcomplicate this. I'm looking at my kitchen right now because I live in a studio space, right? And so I have clear jars for my sugar and salt. That's very strict. Like I can see the distinction between the two because there's pink Himalayan salt and there's brown sugar. To me, over labeling my definition and how I work within my business, there wouldn't be a need for me to label that. That
Because
to
it's
me would
clear, you
be,
can clearly see
yes,
it.
that to me
Okay.
would be over labeling. Or
Got
if the label is just like obnoxious, right? But again, maybe someone might be visually impaired. So again, you just always have to think about
mm,
the client, so the
okay.
person that I'm working with, their needs. So that's what I would define as over labeling.
Got it.
Like,
Thank you for explaining.
yeah.
Thank you. See how different minds just see things differently.
Mhm.
It's just like it's beautiful and I love that you are continuing to walk this path that you believe in yourself to keep going. Your breakthrough will come. Just stay
Thank
organized.
you.
And for the people listening, do you have an affiliate link for where they can shop your favorite products, organization things?
I do not. I have been back and forth about if I want to do that or not, but people can always just DM me directly and I
Okay.
can let them know where I've gotten most of my products.
Okay.
I am also someone who's very budget conscious. So I love the Dollar Tree. I go into clearance sections in stores. I love Ross. I go into Burlington. I think a lot of people think when it comes to like investing or shopping for organizing products, they have to spend a lot of money. So on my page, I show a lot of repurposing, organizing projects and budget friendly, products that were infused into a project as well.
Yes. So, and then in a sense, not in a sense, but that is you being as creative as well because you're problem solving and you're
Mhm.
looking at things like, okay, how can I make this into something that I need? Or, I love that.
Yeah.
Like you are constantly at play. See, look, this whole conversation, we
Thank
found
you.
it.
You know what? You're right. I do. I actually play a lot, but it's not professional. I probably play too much.
No, no. Look, that's the fountain of youth. That's why you look this way and you about to turn 40. Happy birthday.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
Yes, yes, I love this. So thank you for being a part of the Art Remedy. This has been an amazing, enlightening conversation. I hope anyone who's listening found some gems in it.
I hope
What
so
is
too.
the last thing I want to leave the listeners with is what is one piece of advice you want them to take from this entire conversation?
In the interest of time, I think one thing that I would want people to take away from this is to do what works best for you, right? And I think that that is so important because even for myself, people have told me, well, you should do this way, or this goes this way. And it wasn't until I started to be like, okay, well, Jakia, what works for you so that you can show up and be the best version of yourself and thrive, right? And it was like, okay, well, this is how I have to do things. You know what I'm saying? So I think do what works best for you, make modifications where you see fit, but everyone is built differently and operates differently.
I love that. Thank you for the gem. And where can everyone find and keep up with you?
Mm-hmm. So on good old Instagram at Soul Organizer, and that is spelled SOLEORGANIZER. And then I'm also on YouTube, so you can also type in the same username. And I'm trying to make my debut on TikTok. I really am. So on there, it's Organized with Soul, and that's SOLE. And just so the story behind my business name is I combined both of my grandmother's initials together, Sonia and Lena. And they are two Virgo women. And if anyone knows anything about Virgo women, they're very meticulous, about structure and order. And if you remember earlier, I said my moon is in Virgo. I
Virgo.
kind of looked up my birth chart, and I thought it was so crazy. It described, you know, kind of who I am. I like systems and simplicity. And so I named my business in honor of them. So it is another reason why I'm like, I have to keep going. So instead of SOUL, that is why it's SOLE. And also SOLE means like the premier, the number one, you know, organizer. And that's how I feel about myself. So
Yes, I
just wanted to add that in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, you're
But
fine.
soul, when I look at your logo, before I even knew that, first of all, beautiful. And then you have like 3 women. 3 is a powerful number. 3 Virgos, right? So, and I
didn't even think about it that way. The number 3 literally is an E, but I'm the 3rd granddaughter to my paternal grandmother because she always wanted girls, and all of her children were boys. She had 5 boys. So her first set of grandkids were 5 girls. So it's just so many like symbols. Yes. Yeah.
So when I first saw your brand, I was like, oh, soul. It reminded me of like the sole of a foot, because like you're grounded.
Ooh.
You're rooted.
Let me find out. You just gave me something to add. I like that. Grounded in organization, rooted. I like it. So many things. Yes, so many things.
And the fact that you took their names and put it together, like, why? Like,
I like rooted because those are my roots. I like that a lot. Thank you, B.
Yes. And okay, last thing, because I learned this and I was just like, ooh, I feel like, you know, like when you see a tree, its branches, like how big it is up top, they say that's deep as the roots grow. So it's like a mirror, the top and the bottom. So, you know, like soul, you're planted, rooted, and then you're sprouting on top, but your ancestors are like holding you down.
I got chills. I know, I love that. I really do. Because we are living our ancestors' wildest dreams, right? Where we are fortunate to be able to express ourselves. And I think about the maternal women, and they did not have that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So I do not take that lightly. I don't take it for granted. And yeah, that moves me. So if you hear me stuttering, it's because I'm trying to find my words, but it just, everything just comes together. It really does.
Nothing happens by chance. It's always So I wish you the best. I'm going to put all your links in the caption of this video.
Okay, awesome.
They may be listening or viewing. Be sure to follow and support both platforms. Follow The Art Remedy on all social media platforms. Oh, I'll actually link the ones below. And take care, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's go.